Roll.
Commissioner Velasquez.
Present.
Commissioner Colwell.
Here.
Commissioner Howington.
Here.
Commissioner Lowly.
Present.
Commissioner Santiago.
Here.
Vice Mayor Harriet.
He's here.
Mayor Vila.
Here. This time, I'm going to turn it over to Vice Mayor Harriet for the invocation.
I'd like if everybody would stand for a moment of silence,
And the pledge.
and then after that we'll follow the pledge. All right. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mayor.
Okay, at this time, we're going to go ahead to presentations, awards, and reports. We're going to be... Oh, I thought she was coming to me, sorry. We're going to be honoring the Deltona Wolves 12U football team East Coast Conference Championship Certificates presentation. Commissioner Santiago? Yes.
All right, good evening, everyone, and Happy New Year. So at this time, we would like to, if I can have all the West Volusia Wolves 12U team come up, along with the president, LaToya Collier, and head coach Jimmy Chambers, and any of the coaches that are out there as well. You can come right back there, right?
Y'all want to come back in?
Yeah, come on back.
Coaches in the back and kids in the back.
That way. Right.
That's great.
Awesome. Thank you so much. You're all here today because history was made on November 2nd. And the city of Deltona wants to recognize you. On that day, you won the 12U East Coast Conference Championship for Pop Warner football. Yes. And I had the honor of witnessing it firsthand. It was an incredible game. And let's not forget, the team went undefeated for the entire season, which that is a huge accomplishment, and we couldn't be prouder of them. In recognition of your achievement, I heard you were awarded rings, so let's see those rings. Yeah. On behalf of the mayor, commissioners, and the entire city, we want you to know that we're very proud of all of you. A big thank you to the parents, because I know it takes a lot to take them to the games and practice. I know that, and the grandparents too. Thank you to the coaches for your hard work and your dedication, and the team for giving us such an amazing win. We are all so very proud of you. Now, Coach Chambers, you here? I'm here. Where are my Wolves at?
Where my Wolves at? Where my Wolves at? Where my Wolves at?
Woo! Congratulations. I forgot to mention, we do have certificates that we'll be giving to the coach, and then you can pass them out.
Thank you, guys. Congratulations.
You want to say that? Congrats again, guys. All right, this time, as we're heading out, we'll get the city manager prepared for community events. Catherine, okay.
I just wanted to let everybody know about all the community events that are coming up in the next several weeks. We have a lot of stuff going on. We have the Mayor's Fitness Challenge that actually starts this Wednesday, and it goes through, I want to make sure I get the date right, March 15th. A lot of fun stuff. It's a great way to stay fit, meet new people. It's just a really great community event, and we are going to do the obstacle course a run again this year. That was a huge hit last year. We're going to add some new obstacles, a mud run factor to it, so that's going to be a lot of fun. We have Bonkers Bites and Brews at the center. That's the second Friday of every month. This month it's Rob Smiles. It's this Sunday or this Saturday. Tickets are only $8, so that's a really good deal, and it's a lot of fun. So if you haven't been, I would highly recommend doing that. Our concert series at the amphitheater continues. This Saturday we have Hollis Dorian, country artist. He's gotten awards in Nashville. He does a lot of original music, so this is going to be a lot of fun. Free concert to the public. So again, if you haven't done the concert series, I highly recommend this as well. For the first time, the city is doing a Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. event. It's going to be the 19th of this month at the center. It's 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. The bounce houses, lots of fun stuff, food trucks. We're going to be showing a film based on the life of Martin Luther King Jr. So that's going to be a great event. And then next month, you can sign up now. We are going to have the Love Your Heart 5K. It's the 22nd. We have tons of other events that we're in the process of planning. As soon as those details are finalized, I'll share that information as well. But just a ton of fun stuff that's going on in the city right now.
Thank you so much, Catherine. This time we're going to go to the consent agenda. And I am looking for a motion on the consent agenda and then a second. Commissioner Villa-Vasquez.
Mayor, I have a question on this consent agenda. So you normally consent agendas, you approve everything under that column. In this consent agenda, we have to choose board members. How do you do that on the consent agenda? If somebody makes a motion to approve the entire consent agenda, how do you identify which person who applied for a board is selected?
Correction, Commissioner, that won't be under the consent agenda. That's the action items once the consent agenda is over, is the board members' appointees. That's the first three action items.
Okay. So if that's the case, I would like to pull item E, F, G, and that's because I have questions on them. H, I would like to go over every single item on this consent agenda because I have a question on every single item.
Okay. All right, at this time, we're going to go ahead and get started with,
Was there a motion?
she wants to pull all of them, so there's no motion. We're going to go ahead and start with A, request approval of minutes of the regular commission meeting of December 9th, 2024, and special commission meeting of December 23rd, 2024. I'm entertaining a motion. There's a motion. Commissioner Colwell, go ahead. There's a motion by Commissioner Colwell.
Second.
Second by Commissioner or Vice Mayor Harriet. Is there any public comment? No. All right. Can we please vote? Motion passes 7-0. At this time, we're going to go to Section B, request approval of the quarterly reports of City Advisory Board Committees. I am looking for a motion.
Motion to approve the quarterly reports from city advisory committees.
It's a motion by
Second.
Vice Mayor Harriet and a second by?
I second.
Second by Commissioner Santiago. Is there any public comment? Is there any discussion? All right, can we please vote? Motion passes 7-0. This time, we're going to go to Section C, request approval of resolution number 2025-03 for continued legal representation for Deltona Retail Holdings, resolution number 2025-04 for continued legal representation for the Anson Stone Island class action case matters after conclusion of insurance premiums from the carrier, and resolution number 2025-05 for legal representation in the Maverick Bench Media Company. Is there a motion?
Motion.
There's a motion by Commissioner Crowell. There's a second by Vice Mayor Harriet. Is there any public comments? Is there any discussion? Can we please vote? Motion passes 7-0. This time, we're going to go to Section D, request approval for resolution number 2025-06, authorizing the purchase of the Zoll Auto Pulse platform, and resolution number 2025-10, accepting a grant award from the Volusia County Opioid Abatement Board. Is there a motion?
Make a motion.
It's a motion by Vice Mayor Harriet and a second by Commissioner Santiago. Is there any public comment? Is there any discussion? Can we please vote?
No discussion on this one. One quick comment. I want to thank staff for using grant funds to pay for this much-needed service and equipment for our city.
Thank you. Motion passes 7-0. This time, we're going to go to the City of Deltona has been working with the Florida Division of Emergency Management to assist residents impacted by Hurricane Ian and Nicole obtain hazard mitigation grants for mitigation of flood impacts. The property at 2560 West Tulsa Drive has received approval from FDEM to elevate the home at least 1 foot above the base flood elevation of Lake Windsor. FDEM requires a resolution that authorizes the mayor to sign the federally funded subaward and grant agreement number H1144, project number 4680-024, resolution number 2025-15.
I'd like to make a motion to approve this item.
I'll second.
There's a motion by Vice Mayor Harriet and a second by Commissioner Santiago. Is there any public comment?
That was me.
Commissioner Avila Vasquez, I'm sorry, you were the one that seconded it?
Yeah.
Can we please correct the record? Commissioner Howington seconded the motion. Commissioner Avila Vasquez, go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor. I have a question to the, I don't know who, city manager or what. Has the resident applied for grants with our housing department on this? And if so, what is the status of that application?
Good evening, Phyllis Wallace, Public Works. Yes, ma'am. He has applied with Community Development Block Grant as well as Transform 386 with Volusia County. He understands his role in this, and for the city to proceed, he needs to be able to secure his 25%. What we've estimated now could be higher, could be lower, but he understands the city will not go forward if he cannot secure that money, and his money will have to be given, let me rephrase that, transferred to the city probably in an escrow account so that it is on file here with the city before we will start any project associated with the elevation of his property.
So the funds given by FEMA, is that strictly for this address, or
Yes, ma'am. This is specifically to elevate this particular property. Yes, ma'am.
if he's turned down by housing, that goes into, you said, an escrow account, and it cannot be used for another address?
Well, his 25% match, he is going to have to escrow that money with the city before we can pursue this. We have to have assurances that he has his match because the city will not pay the match for the individual. If he is unable to do that by grants, then he's going to have some other options available to him, possibly to get a small a business loan from FEMA. He may be able to get an independent loan for the property to cover that.
Should he not or her not be able to get that percentage to cover his share, can we use those fundings for another resident who has qualified across the board?
No, ma'am. These are site specifics and project specifics.
Thank you.
Okay, can we please vote? Motion passes 7-0. We're going to go to F, request approval of resolution number 2025-15 and the task authorization between the City of Deltona and Pegasus Engineering for grant management services specific to the home elevation at 2560 Tulsa Drive West in an amount of $35,000.
Motion.
Motion by Vice Mayor Harriet and a second by Commissioner Lully. Is there any public comment? All right, is there any discussion? Commissioner Colwell? Is there a microphone on?
Yes, sir.
The $35,000, will that be refunded to us? in some-
Could possibly be refunded to us as part of our matching programs. Yes, sir.
Okay. That's it.
Okay, can we please vote? Motion passes 7-0. We're going to go ahead and go to G, request approval of resolution number 2025-14, roadway transfer from Volusia County to the City of Deltona, specifically for the portion of Fernanda Drive from Howland Boulevard east to the Fernanda subdivision entrance at Landing Lane. Is there a motion? In order for us to enter into discussion, we need a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Lully.
I second.
Second by Commissioner Santiago. Is there any public comment? Okay, we have discussion, Commissioner Avila Vasquez, and then Commissioner Colwell.
Thank you, Mayor. So my question is, what is our advantage to take over this road? If it's a county road, why do we want to take expenses from the county, number one? The property on both sides of this piece of road is county property. And I would like to know, do we have anything right now on the record of any projects being considered to be built on the side of this road, and if that's the reason why we're going in this route?
There is nothing that has been presented to the city or via the county, because it would go to the county with the exception of, I'm aware of one single-family home that wants to build out there on a lot that they have. Other than that, I know of nothing that has been presented to the city. As far as the acceptance of the road, this is the only means of ingress and egress on a publicly dedicated, paved road for that entire subdivision. Their other entrance is off of a means of ingress and egress off of Lake Helen, Osteen Cemetery Road. That's a means of ingress and egress. That is not a publicly dedicated road, and it is not constructed to standards that would carry traffic on a regular basis that this subdivision has.
Right, and I understand that particular road was just meant for emergency access to these subdivisions. But my question is, why are we interested in this piece of road when it's just bringing us more expense?
I can only go back in time with when I came to the city in 2012 and when this project came forward. I was not deputy director. I was a project administrator for construction, didn't get involved in this, but the history that I have dug up is that this was always planned to be dedicated to the city, transferred, because there would have been no way for this subdivision to build at all if the road had not been constructed. It makes sense from the standpoint it was going to be done earlier, but unfortunately you have to build the road in which to get to the subdivision to build the subdivision, and the transfer just never happened. This has been on the books as far back as my records show, to have this done since 2019.
And the city currently maintains that part? Or
We do not currently maintain it, the county does, but the road is in excellent condition. We went out and inspected it after all the hurricanes. Everything is held up perfectly. We've seen nothing out there, and there's no degradation out there. Our utilities are on either side of the roadway, both water, sewer, and reclaimed.
So this is something the city's pursuing?
The city, it looks like to me the city, in conjunction with the county, was pursuing it. I can just tell you, the research I found is that it was presented to the city, to a staff member who's no longer with us, started the process, and for whatever reason, it just, here we are in 2025, from 2019.
Okay, thank you.
I have a question, Phyllis.
Yes, sir.
This isn't going to be a situation where we're going to start talking about a Phase 3 in Fernanda Place again, is it?
This has nothing to do with Phase 3, sir. Absolutely.
I just want to make 100% sure that that is not going to be the case.
Right. What I can tell you is, if there were to be a Phase 3, would they use that road? Absolutely, but that is not the reason for taking this. I know it kind of, timing was not perfect when it was presented the last time.
Okay. Vice Mayor Harriet, then Commissioner Colwell, then Commissioner Lully.
With the two wooded parcels on either side of the road being, I believe they're commercial parcels, or are those residential?
I believe they're residential.
Okay, would those be required to be annexed into the SID in order to be developed?
I will refer to our attorneys for that.
Yeah, we'd have to get back to that, I think.
If the city were to want to develop those, then yes, they would need to be annexed to be within the city limits. If the county has applicable zoning jurisdiction there, they could undergo the county development process.
Is there any way for us to annex those properties before we take over the maintenance of the road?
I mean, you could certainly defer this item tonight and we can look into that.
I don't think we need to lose. I mean, I hate the conversation of like losing tax base and whatnot, but if we're going to maintain the road, I think it's only fair that we maintain the road that is being used and we're receiving the property taxes from those that are using the road. So.
Are you finished?
I'm done. Thank you, Mayor.
Commissioner Colwell, and then Commissioner Lully.
What is the benefit to the city for taking over this road?
Well, let me give you an example. We get calls all the time about Howland Boulevard. It doesn't belong to us.
That's my whole point. Why would we?
This is a good road. It leads into a subdivision that it's our service area for utilities. I just don't see a downside to this. I do believe maybe looking into the annexation of those properties that front directly on the entire section is in the city's best interest, so we can certainly pursue looking into that. But I just don't see a downside other than we now tell residents if there's a problem there, call the county.
So if at some point the county determines that there needs to be a light put up at that intersection there where those roads meet, do we share a cost to that because we own the street now?
Typically, you would see the burden of the traffic signal falls on the primary road, which would be Howland Boulevard, not the side road. That does not mean that they wouldn't pursue a participation of some kind, but that does not mean that we're obligated to that.
All right, thank you.
Commissioner Lilly?
Thank you, Mayor. I was going to sort of go in the same vein as Commissioner Caldwell, and kind of a lot of it's answered, but if there was a problem with this road, let's say an inlet's clogged, if the city takes it over, the city could respond within, 2 minutes with where the Public Works facility is, hypothetically?
Hypothetically, we would be there long before the county would, that's reality.
Are you aware of any instances, citizen complaints or anything like that, where there's been delayed county maintenance or anything like that? Or I know you've said it's in good condition, right?
I don't know of anything that has come through. There was a little bit of concerns during Ian, Nicole, and then Milton with a couple of trees, kind of the status of some of the trees out there, but we went out and looked at them because the county didn't. We found that they were outside the right-of-way of the roadway and actually back on private property. But other than that, I'm not aware of any problems that have been brought to our attention.
Okay, and then final question, does the stormwater from that road, is that going into the stormwater facilities that are within Fernanda Place?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Vice Mayor Harriet?
Thank you. I think that along the same lines, that the benefit of the city taking over maintenance of this road is for those residents, for the Deltona residents that are in that community. I think that is it's a strong positive. But to do that without securing the annexation of those 2 parcels along Howland Boulevard at the same time, I think is a misstep. I personally would like to see this item tabled until we can talk with the county to see if we could, if there's any way that we can incorporate the annexation of those 2 wooded parcels along Howland Boulevard in front of that existing development. This is not annexing additional lands. This is enclaves within the city already as part of the overall approval.
Okay, Commissioner Caldwell?
On that property that we're talking about there, on the backside of where the first row of houses and when you enter into the neighborhood, is there a right-of-way behind there that the neighborhood owns? And was that planned for a future road or crossover?
There was discussion about that connection to Learning Lane to the north, if I'm oriented correctly, to provide access to the school. The school has denied that, but I do believe the subdivision has acquired some of the property, but it was originally part of the there's an old plat out there, probably from the 1920s, if not older than that, so.
So would our purchase stop at that point, or would it continue to the back of those houses? Would we engulf the right-of-way?
No, we would just be taking the right-of-way of Fernanda itself up to the entrance to the subdivision.
Okay.
We wouldn't be going to the north or the south.
Right. Thank you.
Okay, so there is currently a motion on the floor. Does the person that made the motion and the second want to retract their motion and amend it?
I did, right?
Commissioner Lully made the motion and Commissioner
yes.
Santiago
Yes.
seconded. Would you like to retract your second, Commissioner Santiago?
Did you?
I
have to go for-
I revised it to table it. I'm fine with
Okay.
that.
I'm fine with that.
Okay.
Lori Warnicki, please.
Good evening. I'm Lori Warnicki, and I'm a resident in District 6, and I'm just speaking from my own information. I live off a road called Collins Road. Half the road belongs to the county of Volusia, and half the road belongs to the city of Deltona. Volusia County is out there every 6 to 8 weeks and mows it. City of Deltona does not maintain or mow any of their part. The only part that belongs to the city that's maintained, just started, is by the HOA of Lennar Homes. And it's one strip, and it's been mowed once since the development was done, probably about 30 days ago. And I don't think it's a good move for the commission to accept the road. I say leave it for Volusia County. Thank you.
Okay. So we have a motion on the floor to table this item and a second by Commissioner Lully and a second by Commissioner Santiago. Can we please vote? Again, the motion is to table. Motion to table passes 7-0. Right, we're going to go to H, request approval of resolution number 2025-09, a federally funded subaward and grant agreement Z4565 for DR-4834 Hurricane Milton. No. So at this time, we're going to entertain a motion. Is there a motion for this item?
Motion to approve.
Is there a second?
A second.
Yeah. Second.
There's a motion by Commissioner Lally and a second by Commissioner Santiago. Is there any discussion?
Does this,
Commissioner Colwell, then Vice Mayor Harriet.
This property, the part they're talking about taking over is in a flood zone, is it not?
this isn't that item.
Request of-
H, as in house.
Yeah, the property. They want to take 0.2 acres from our 11 acres retention pond in the back, is that not?
No.
That was bold. Oh, I got an old thing then. H.
It's okay. Vice Mayor Harriet?
I'd also like to make sure that this agenda item includes the allowance of the city manager to approve any or sign any changes to this agreement.
So you want an amendment to the motion?
Yes, if a friendly amendment to allow for the city manager to execute any changes, signature changes, just by nature of these contracts, it's not, they're reimbursement contracts, they're reimbursement grants, so everything has to be validated multiple times, both by FEMA and by the state. So it's not approving any expenditures, but the paperwork burden, if they've got staff has to wait for it to come back to the commission to sign changes.
I'm fine with adding that on.
Commissioner Santiago, you're okay with it? Okay.
Thank you.
Is there any public comment on that one? Go ahead, Liz.
So, excuse me if I
Commissioner
may, through the mayor, the way the resolution is already drafted allows the city manager to execute this agreement and any related documents. So that would cover the situation that you are describing.
So the motion is to approve.
Correct.
Fine by me.
It's already built into the motion.
Sorry, I missed that.
Vote. You're good. Motion passes 7-0. All right, this time we're going to go to item I, request approval resolution number 2025-16 for participation in PFAS litigation.
Do we have a presentation from?
We have the representative here, if you'd like a full presentation, or just so you can talk for a little background on it.
If he can just give us a little background.
Go ahead, sir.
All right, before we get to that, I need a motion and a second.
A motion to approve.
Second.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Lully, second by Vice Mayor Harriet. Just clarification, once we adopt the Roberts Rules, let's get into the habit of going into that item and reading off what we're, so Liz doesn't go crazy. Yeah. So, go ahead, please.
So small. Yeah, if I could. Okay. Is it gonna show up? Yeah. Okay. Good evening. My name is James Farrar from the Farrar Law Firm. Thank you all for your time. I'll try to keep this very brief. We are proposing representing the city on a contingency fee basis in the PFAS litigation. So just very briefly, I don't think this is working. Oh, sorry. That's fine. I could just talk through it if not. It's okay. It's okay. Yeah. I'll do it. Some technical difficulties, so I'll do without it. Again, my name's James Farrar from the Farrar Law Firm. We're based here in Florida. We are primarily a toxic tort litigation firm. Our firm has been involved in this litigation since 2018. We're a member of the Plaintiffs' Executive Committee in the multi-district litigation. So that is a centralized proceeding in South Carolina that involves cases similar to this from across the country. There have been several developments as of late, primarily and most importantly are various federal regulations from the EPA regarding these chemicals. Now, PFAS are a
Sir,
group.
I don't mean to interrupt you. Is your microphone on? Is this we're having a hard time?
Sorry about that. I just got to stand a little closer. I'm used to moving around a little too much. So PFAS are a class of chemicals that are used in various different applications. Where you see it the most and where it's the most problematic is in AFFF, which is firefighting foam. That is used by fire departments nationwide. They're used at airports for aircraft fires, highly flammable liquid fires. However, these chemicals are used in various consumer products as well. I could go on and on about what they have been in over the years. Now, there are about a dozen defendants involved in this case, but the two primary defendants are 3M and DuPont. Now, important to the city, and part of our representation will encompass analyzing and working with Deltona Water Department to see what their claims are for two different settlements related to 3M and DuPont. Deltona is possibly classified as what's called a phase 2 claimant because they tested after June of 2023, like most of the country has. Another part of our representation will also entail filing a lawsuit against other defendants and also looking at other claims, not only for the drinking water, but for soil. So we're going to do a full analysis of what those claims may look like. Our retention is on a contingency fee basis. So again, if you don't know what that means, the city does not come out of pocket for a dime. We pay all the expenses. We only make a recovery if the city makes a recovery. Try to keep it short and sweet, but if you have any questions, happy to answer.
Commissioner Avila-Vasquez?
Thank you, Mayor. So do you have an idea of what this fee will be or what we will look like that at the end we will be responsible for?
Yes, we have a proposed retainer, and it's at 15%, which I could tell you a contingency fee, a normal contingency fee is usually anywhere from 33 1/3 to 40%. Now, in government representation, which we specialize in, you're usually seeing a retainer fee around 25%. So I could tell you that 15% is pretty much as low as it goes. We represent several other municipalities throughout Florida, and they all have the same fee arrangement.
And that's 15% of whatever the city recoups, right?
That's correct. That's correct. And again, the city doesn't come out of pocket for any costs associated with the litigation.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Vice Mayor Harriet?
Are there any areas in the city that you've identified as potentially contaminated?
Well, where we would look, anywhere where training has been conducted using AFFF, so anywhere that the fire department has used it in the past, we'd look at those areas. But the simple, and I could talk about this topic for hours, when you look at just hydrogeology, just for Florida in general, where, the water is pulled from groundwater sources from the Floridan aquifer, that could receive contaminants from a whole host of areas, air, water, you name it, and that could come not just from what you'd call a point source, like an actual location such as an airport or a fire training facility. So it matters. It's important to look at those areas, but in a certain respect, it won't matter. But yes, fire departments, nearby airports, things of that nature.
For the record, have you guys seen any testing or anything in our drinking water that would lead you to believe that it's contaminated?
Yes, I mean, there was some sample. So there's something out now called UCMR5, which requires all systems across the country that service more than 3,000 individuals to test for 29 different types of PFAS. Deltona has done that testing, and it has shown low levels, but above what the new EPA standard is, which is at 4 parts per trillion. Just to put that in perspective, that is as low as any contaminant out there that municipalities are required to test for. So although it's very low, it is looking like it's above that federal standard. But we would, there is a series of tests that we would do in conjunction with the water department as well.
Thank you.
Jim Parrish, the Deputy Utility Director. As Mr. Ferraro indicated, there's been the UCMR5s, which were 2 different tests. They had to be done several months apart. Every utility in the United States had to do the UCMR5s. The threshold level for PFAS was 4.0 parts per trillion, and the average of what we have is 6.4. However, those levels still are not locked in. There's litigation happening right now, so that 4.0 could be a moving target. As to what our final MCL, which is what we'd be held to, is what the target would be. One of the things that we had discussed with the Ferrara Law Firm is if that target moves and we stay below the threshold of the MCL, do we still recover fees? And the answer was yes.
I'm concerned right now that our residents just heard you tell everybody that our drinking water is contaminated and not safe to drink. So I want to dispel the fact that, that this is not safe drinking water now. I still drink the drinking water. I still drink our utility water. This is a new target that is now being developed, which is why it's potentially going to move.
Correct.
So can we give some reassurance to residents that they can still use our municipal water to shower, drink?
Yes, there are.
Cook with.
It's a test that came out that said, hey, we need to test for this. And what the EPA said is once we test for it, then we have to establish a plan of what we're going to do whenever we find out that there's any sort of issues for it. So that's what we've been doing. We've been talking with law firms to be able to establish what we're going to do moving forward.
Excellent. Thank you.
Commissioner Lully, then Commissioner Avila Vasquez.
Thank you, Mayor. Wait, this is for Jim, don't walk away. I don't want to step on your show, so I want to make sure you affirm what I say, if you agree. So the only way to remove PFAS from municipal water is through like reverse osmosis to get it to zero. That's what I understand.
There's several different treatment options that are available. Reverse osmosis is one, granular activated carbon, green sand, things such as that. Depending upon of what in this area is found and what the actual target number does come out to be, will determine what we have to do to change the reflected MCL to get to that target. If the target turns out to be 7.0, then there's not something that we do have to do. That number has yet to be established if it is going to move or if it's not.
In my experience, like with the lead and copper rule revision, that kind of came down the pike from the EPA, and there was very little funding attached to it. And we don't have that big of an issue because we don't have lead service lines for the most part, right?
Correct.
Other cities, I've worked on these programs in other cities, I mean, they had to spend a lot of money to meet that new goal. So it's possible that even if the goal right now was one number, they could come down in 5 years and say, okay, we're cutting it in half.
Or they could come back and they could say that the number that we originally had is not the actual number. Instead of it being 4, it could be 8. So we still don't know what that number, what that total number is going to be.
4 is almost as low as you could go.
Yeah, 4 is as low. 4 is as low as you could go.
And this recovered money would help us purchase whatever we need to do in order to meet those new guidelines.
Correct.
So if we don't participate in this, we're on the hook for it.
Correct.
Tax dollars. Got it. Thank you.
Commissioner Vasquez.
I have a question, and I don't want to open up a can of worms, or maybe this is not part of this, but does this include the tests that they have been doing with our water, that they find like little particles of plastic, and what's going on in the other cities with the fluoride?
No, this has nothing to do with fluoride.
Or the plastic?
Not fluoride. That's what PFAS is. PFAS is plastics.
Ah.
Forever
Thank you.
chemicals is what they're called.
Thank you.
Vice Mayor Harriet.
I just want to go on the record and say that I think the number should be 0. We regardless of what we find, we need to work towards getting the number down to 0. So I want to put that out there and make sure that we're very clear.
Thank you.
Martha Jess, please.
Martha Jess from DeLand.
You can pull that microphone down.
There, how's that? Okay. I am also very concerned about the PFAS, the forever chemicals that we're beginning to find in our water. And I think this is a very helpful opportunity to go ahead and go through the litigation. I've recently found that our springs, they tested 50 springs around Florida, and that Green Springs and Blue Springs and Gemini Springs tested high. So I think there needs to be more research, but I think it's an opportunity that we can do something to help our citizens and the tourists that come and generations to come, that we clean up our water. Thank you.
Donna Pepin, please.
Hi, I'm Donna Pepin from DeLand, and I've learned recently also that, as she mentioned, the 3 springs that are right around Deltona tested the highest in Florida for these chemicals, and so they don't know where they come from, but I think it would be foolish not to join this litigation, because that's how you'll pay for the money. And it has tested that it is in it, so we know that it's here. Apparently Lake Helen was tested, but they also have lead pipes. So for them, it will be a fortune. Their whole roads will have to be taken apart because of the lead pipes and that. Yeah, I had heard that reverse osmosis was probably the way that if you do have it, then they would have to do reverse osmosis to get it out. I think that's probably all. Okay.
Albert Bryan, please.
Albert Bryan, Deltona. Three things on this. If all the springs have been tested in our area and they're high, or even testing that they're positive for it, it's a concern. I also know that certain houses in the area were also tested at the same time, and that drinking water tested positive for it as well. Because as of right now, there's no filtration for it in our city. They just began testing for it, matter of fact. Okay. I would be more concerned about this if there was actually something showing where people have gotten sick from it, truly sick from it. What I'm more concerned is that y'all don't do the right thing and go ahead and join this lawsuit. Because anytime you are offered a way to get money and get ahead of the game for retrofitting your water plants, for fixing a problem like this, I think you need to get ahead of the game. If you pass this up and something ends up where money is actually gained from this, then you're not gaining anything at all. Matter of fact, now you're paying for what the federal government will pass by 2027 and effective by 2029. I would be more concerned also if we didn't have a public works that has been testing as of now. But I also know that all of the water departments have been testing. They've had to. So for them to say it's only, this or that, when we don't even know what the regulations are coming, and there's more than one way to actually remove this from your water. So don't just get stuck on one way to remove it. There's more than one way. At the end of the day, what do you want? You want clean water for your children. That's it. It's like a lot of things we come up here and speak at the podium about. We want things better for our children than what they are for us right now. And because I grew up in the 60s, I grew up with a lot of crapola, and I'm still here. But at the end of the day, I still want it better for my children. So my advice is go ahead and vote yes on this, because you're not losing anything. You're not losing anything at all. And you have everything to gain from this. Because sooner or later, the federal government is going to come down with certain regulations, whether it's 4, 6, 8, 10, it doesn't matter. And as you said, at the end of the day, you want it to be at 0. You don't want this in your water for your children. Y'all have a good night.
Kathy Bryan, please.
Good evening, Kathy Bryan, Deltona. It's really scary when you think about the things that are in our water that we don't even realize are there, and there's a lot of them that we can't do anything about. So my question on this is, while the testing's going on, et cetera, and I agree, I think it's probably going to behoove us to do this. But when you look at resolutions for filtering the PFAS out, can we also look at other items that may be in the water where one solution may take care of more than just one thing? So let's think way ahead. Let's think visioning out that. So, and then I'm assuming that any monies that come in from the litigation on this to 3M, DuPont, which makes me shudder when I think of DuPont. But, any monies coming in for this is what will be used to make the corrections to the water if we find out those are high. And if we do find out that there's issues, if we still have leftover, which I doubt, if we do find that there's people who are having long-term issues due to this, would there be any consideration of helping them out because of exposure? So that's my questions. Thank you.
That ends public comment.
All right. Can we please vote? Motion passes 7-0. Can we get somebody from the PIO department to take down the presentation so we can look at the screens, please? We're going to go ahead and move to item J, request for approval resolution number 2025-13, first quarter budget amendment for fiscal year 2024-25. This time, we're going to go ahead and entertain a motion in a second. Motion by Commissioner Avila Vasquez. Second by Vice Mayor Harriet. Any discussion? Public comment? Can we please vote? Motion passes 7-0. We're going to go ahead and enter K, request for recognitions for the month of January. This month is for 2025 Certified Registered Nurse a week. If I can get a motion in a second.
Motion.
There's a motion by Vice Mayor Harriet and a second by Commissioner Santiago. Sorry, I'm a little deaf from my right ear. Any discussion? Public comment? Please vote. Motion passes 7-0. This time we're going to jump to action items. A, request approval of resolution number 2025-08, consideration of appointments to the Affordable Housing Advisory Committee, AHAC. All right, we're looking for a motion. For clarification, is there anybody specifically for AHAC that's appointing? I know for P&Z there's somebody specific, but.
AHAC is looking for specific, they are looking for someone that actively served on the local family, and they are looking for a representative of essential services personnel. Now, that one has been open for a while. The active intern on local family agency open because
he resigns.
Also, this entire board will be coming in to you the end of the year.
All right, go ahead, Commissioner Avila Vasquez.
Thank you, Mayor. So I remember at one time, we would get a chart of all the applicants, and they would identify what category they will be serving under. So, for example, if the vacancy was somebody who's involved in real estate, it will show that that vacancy is already full. We already have somebody on board for real estate. If somebody it was required for someone who was involved in nonprofit organizations, if that vacancy was already full, it would show. So we know that nobody else can be put for that category. Do we know where that chart is now? I know it was put together by, it was you?
Sorry, I did not do this time, because the two specific things, we did not have an applicant that met criteria. One, the bylaw states that if you don't have someone who meets that specific criteria, you can choose someone
Close to it.
for a lack of a better way to
That's not interested.
The planning and zoning board one, that's the hard one, because they have to actively be on the planning and zoning board now. But there is someone on that board. I will talk to Angelia, and maybe we can shuffle some things around. If you want to hold off and bring this forward, the board does have
Quorum?
a meeting quorum
Okay.
right now, and they only meet like 4 times a year.
This is which one, P&Z?
AHAC.
No,
AHAC.
We're on AHAC, yeah.
This is AHAC. You know.
Yeah, that's why I'm asking. So can we go back to that chart, and can you present the commissioners with that chart, and it'll help us decide,
Somebody already make motion.
you know, if
Basically,
the,
what I did was I just made suggestions that
And it helped
maybe
a lot.
this person fits here.
it helped a lot. It helped us fill all the requirements of each applicant.
Okay, so you would like to table this?
Yes, the person that made the motion.
Who made the motion?
Nobody made a motion. I'd like to make a motion to table this until we actually have applicants interested in filling the position.
Second.
There's a motion by Vice Mayor Harriet, and then there's a second by Commissioner Lully. Okay. Is there any public comment?
I would also implore residents that if you want to get involved, please, this is the way to get involved. So anybody that has the experience, I know that we have, I know that there are some more attractive boards and committees to be on, but all of them are important. So I implore all of my neighbors to get involved. This is how.
Mayor, may I?
Go ahead, Commissioner.
Thank you, Mayor. So there are applicants, but we have no idea what category they fall under.
They don't, per Elizabeth, they don't fall on any.
Right, so at this point, we don't really know if the board, if there is a space for them on the board.
Yeah. So let's go
Thank
ahead
you.
and vote, please. So we're voting to table it.
Voting table, yes.
Motion to table passes 7-0. This time, we're going to go to action item B, request for consideration of 2 commission appointments to the Firefighters Pension Plan Board of Trustees. And I have Commissioner Avila Vasquez and then Commissioner Santiago on the board.
Thank you. I would like to ask, because the request for the two current board members, they're requesting that they stay on the commission. Can we make a motion to accept both current? Good, okay. I'd like to make a motion to accept, let's see, who is it? I've got to find it out now. Let me just go back to the...
Gene
Gizzi and Robert Linderman.
I second that.
Okay. There's a motion by Commissioner Avila Vasquez and a second by Commissioner Santiago. Commissioner Santiago, you're on the board for discussion, unless you still had something else, Commissioner.
No, I think that's what I wanted to do, is make that motion. Thank you.
Okay. All right, is there any public comment? Okay, can we please vote?
Okay, wait, hold on, I'm sorry. Who was it? Let's see, Housing and, what's the other name? I apologize.
If we want, we can do a verbal vote if it's easier. Sarah, could you please just do a roll call?
What was the second name? The second person that you named?
Robert B. Lindeman.
Lindeman, okay.
Lindeman.
Thank you.
Motion passes 7-0. At this time, we're going to go to action item section C, request for consideration of appointment of one member from District 4 or by District 4 and one alternative member to the Planning and Zoning. This time, Commissioner Howington, who is your recommended appointment?
Daniel Trojanowski.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Vice Mayor Harriet. Just for clarification, we're voting for one and then for the other, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
This is for the permanent.
This is for the permanent one. And we're following the guidelines, correct, Liz?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Can we please vote?
I just have to say
sorry.
his name.
Commissioner Santiago? Oh, you got it? Okay.
Thank you.
Motion passes 7-0.
I'd like to make a motion to appoint Lori Warnicki as alternate.
Second.
There is a motion by Vice Mayor Harriet to appoint Lori Warnicki as an alternate, and a second by Commissioner Lully. And then,
I'm sorry, Mayor, I apologize to interrupt, but with all due respect, my suggestion is not to appoint the alternate because they're coming before you the first
that's right,
meeting in
you did
March.
make that
We're going to wipe out all the alternates and you're going to start from scratch. So they would only serve for a month and then they would be up again.
There's a meeting this month. Is there any harm in appointing?
No, commission can move forward with your vote.
Okay.
Correct.
you're still on the... Is there any other discussion before we go into a vote?
Dana McCool.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor, Commission. As we move forward in the shaping of our city here, I hope that we take into serious consideration these appointments. We have some major issues that will be coming to us as a city regarding development. And all politics aside on this, I would hope that this commission would be prudent in appointing people that know what they're doing, that have attended meetings, that have served as alternates, and let's not just appoint friends and family, as it were. And also, I would like for us to stick to policy that if an application is submitted after the deadline, that it's not considered. Part of the responsibility of serving on these boards is being organized, planning properly, and knowing your business. So for me, when I sat on this commission, I took those factors in. If people had served before, if they had bothered to come to meetings, if they researched their job and what they were actually doing, because we're not playing politics here. We have a city to run, and we have important decisions to make. And it bothers me that
we would appoint those that have not served, that have not been active, and that are not experienced with these serious issues that we have coming ahead of us. So please take that in consideration as you move forward. Remember who you serve. It's not your personal interest. You're serving the city. So please get us good, qualified people in these positions as we move forward. Thank you.
That ends public comment.
Go ahead, Commissioner Avila-Vasquez.
Thank you, Mayor. My question to the Assistant City Clerk, when appointing people to this position, does it have to be from your district?
No, it does not.
Thank you.
Okay. That ends all public comment. Can we please go ahead and vote? Motion passes 5-2. All right. We're going to go ahead and move forward to action item D, request approval of resolution number 2025-11 for the proportionate fair share agreement of Lehigh Business Park Business Plan Unit Development, BPUD.
Motion?
Is there a motion? Commissioner Santiago, you want to do a motion?
Yep, I move
Because I
to.
see you on board.
Yes, I'd like to make a motion to approve Resolution 2025-11 and the proportionate fair share agreement for LEHA Business Park PBUD.
Second.
There's a motion by Commissioner Santiago, second by Commissioner Lully. Is there further discussion? Commissioner Santiago, you're on the board again?
Take yourself off.
For discussion? No. Commissioner Colwell.
I have a question as far as the proportionate fair share. How is that calculated? And do we take into consideration that they recommend against it because of the TIA report?
Good evening. Jordan Smith, Planning Director. Can you repeat that, Commissioner? I'm sorry.
How do we come up with the amount for the proportionate fair share?
That $331,000 was calculated based on traffic impact analysis.
But the traffic impact analysis doesn't recommend it, does it?
It recommends those improvements, yes.
It recommends those improvements?
Yes. And I believe the applicant is...
Yeah. That's it.
The applicant is here to answer any questions.
No, I'm fine.
Okay.
Commissioner Lully?
Thank you, Mayor. Just a point of clarification. So this vote has nothing to do with the actual approval of the development that's already been implemented as city policy.
Correct.
Last year, right?
The project was approved on October 7, 2024.
Okay, and you're confident that this is the maximum amount of revenue we can bring in as a result of this in order to fund the impact?
That's based on the traffic impact analysis, correct?
Okay,
Yes.
thanks.
Thank you, Jordan. Is there any public comment? All right. Please vote.
Who did the motion? Lacy.
Motion passes 6-1. We're going to go ahead and move to action item E, request approval resolution number 2025-12, amending the Deltona City Commission operating guidelines and meeting rules and procedures. We have Commissioner Avila-Vasquez and then Commissioner Santiago. We're looking for motion and then a second.
May I like to make a motion to table this item? I have a lot of concerns on the new, what was given to us just get my copy.
And I'll second.
Thank you. I mean, my page is full. I couldn't find other space to write on. I have a lot of concerns. I have a lot of questions that will benefit us as well as benefit the residents. And I think we need to table this. And I have a problem when I'm getting policies and procedures that we have to follow and we have no input in it. So, and the process is that we look and work on this on a workshop, and then it comes back to us for approval. So I would like to make a motion to table this and have all commissioners go over, express their concerns, and take it from there.
We did.
There's a motion by Commissioner Avila-Vasquez.
And I second.
And a second by Commissioner Howington. Is there, well, we have discussion. Commissioner Avila-Vasquez, you're on the board.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Commissioner Santiago?
Okay. Actually, I was going to make a motion to approve the guidelines. One of the, as I was elected.
She's just explaining.
Just want to say what I feel and I think. The reason I'm in this position right now is because we need change. There's a lack of respect and civility at our commission meetings that has hindered the progress and the attention to the many problems that are facing our residents. We need to focus on what we need to do for the city of Deltona and take away the nasty remarks that have been done in the past. This will no longer be made. These guidelines that come through are perfect guidelines. We will no longer endure any nastiness or bullying. And therefore, I know there's a motion, but this, for me, I support it. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Colwell.
Could we request a workshop at this moment, or?
After, well, currently we have a motion.
All right.
Commissioner Howington?
I would agree to a workshop because I had a list of
There's a
items that I
current
wanted
motion
to change. So.
right now. Commissioner Lully?
I just wanted to make sure that I was clear on some items that were part of this policy, proposed policy, which I found out about on Thursday and have had a chance to read and collect everyone's input, and I know we'll hear from folks here in a minute. I just wanted to I looked at some other municipalities, and I wanted to see how we compared as far as public comment time to other governments. And I looked at, so Deltona, for example, I don't know if this is tonight or last week, but this is a good number. This is without public hearings, which you have to have public comment. We, under the current policy, we have a total of 28 minutes of public comment time throughout the meeting. I suppose under the new rule, if we're cutting it in half, it would be 14 minutes. So then I looked at a few other comparable governments, so I'm talking about population size. I looked at Sumter County, and their total speaking time throughout a meeting is 6 minutes. Nassau County is 3. Cape Coral is 3. So then I said, well, let's see how those cities compare to us if we were going to measure success. Measure success, for the most part, based on cost of living, right? So our millage rate, and again, these are a little rounded, so I'm not doing, 0.0534. Our millage rate is somewhere between 19 and 20. Our highest water rate is 18 and change if you live in the city. It's in the 20s if you live outside city limits per 1,000 gallons in our highest tier. Sumter County, the millage rate is 10, half of what ours is, and their highest water rate in the villages is $4 per 1,000 gallons. Nassau County, the millage rate is 9.4, with a water rate of $5.97. Cape Coral millage rate is 15. Their water rate is $15.52 at the highest rate, but you get $9.50 flat per month for your irrigation, and their reclaimed service is pretty widespread throughout the city. So I looked at that and I thought, we have all these other examples of places where their tax burden is half of what ours is in some places. Their utility burden is a fraction of what ours is. And I don't know that having these changes put in are going to move that needle one way or the other. And I think that I'd like to say I agree with Commissioner Santiago in that I think that there was a mandate in this last election to have positive change in this city. So I'm not saying that I support every single item that's in the guidelines, but I at least am open to having that conversation, was willing to hear the city manager present here this evening, and then decide on that. So I don't prejudge any situation. Look forward to our public comment. Thank you.
Commissioner Avila-Vasquez.
Thank you, Mayor. And I'm not agreeing or disagreeing with anybody's comments up here on the dais. What I am requesting is the opportunity for us commissioners to review the before and after, and then make a decision of things that we're taking out of the before without us even knowing about it. And just give us the opportunity of, each one of us read and discuss the new and see how it fits into my community. And I am all for comparing numbers and figures from other cities, but we are Deltona. And so that's why I want to sit down and have a discussion about the before and after and why so much was taken out of the before procedures. Thank you.
Okay, Vice Mayor Harriet and then Commissioner Howington.
I'm somewhere in the middle, figuratively and literally. I see the challenges from everybody, all of my fellow commissioners that have spoken tonight, and I think that the best compromise tonight is to go towards a workshop so that we can work on this together, so we can come together, we can maintain the pieces that are important that will move the city forward without risking losing citizen involvement.
Okay. Is there any public comment?
There should be a lot of public comment.
She took her.
I didn't mean to.
Oh, go ahead, Commissioner Howington.
I was going to ask if Commissioner Avila-Vasquez would consider amending to include a workshop table and at a workshop.
Yes.
And I would second that now.
Commissioner Howington, you're still on the board. Okay, go ahead, sir.
Tara Dierico, please. Hey, good evening, everyone. Tara Dierico, Deltona. Hope everyone had a nice holiday season. So glad to hear that there's going to be a workshop, because I think while Commissioner Santiago completely understand what you're saying, Nick, I understand what everybody wants to do, and I understand that the end goal is to put some order and efficiency around the meetings. And while I can appreciate that end goal, I don't care for some of the measures outlined. So some of the things that concern me that would be great for you all to know going into the workshop are, prior to addressing the city commission on any topic during a meeting, we have to fill out the public speaking form no later than the start time of the meeting. So that means that if there's an agenda item at the end of the meeting you want to speak on, and your work schedule or home life doesn't allow you to get here before the gavel, you now can't speak on that agenda topic because you didn't fill the form out before the meeting started. I'd like to see that reconsidered. Because honestly, if that goes through, I'm just going to tell you all, not to be a wise person, but I'll just fill an agenda, I'll fill a form out for every agenda topic just to cover myself in case I do want to speak on it. Limiting public forum and agenda comments to 2 minutes. To have agenda topics limited to 2 minutes is completely discounting any value you think the public can provide. And I always try to look for the positive, but I really had a hard time finding something here, because to me, the perspective of that is you're kind of telling the public you don't value what their thoughts are. And while that may be true for some people, most of us come here with honorable intentions, and we do try to make a positive difference in our city. And then furthermore, if a large group wants to speak, that 2 minutes can then be reduced to 1 minute. I mean, unless I misread that, that was kind of the way I interpreted it. So jumping to page 6, item J, the quasi-judicial process review, one of the things there that I would like to be reconsidered is, while I appreciate the 8-minute time limit for applicants, folks with standing, who are basically the neighbors that have a substantial indirect impact, who will have to live with the outcomes of any decisions made, they're being limited to 2 minutes to share any concerns they have. And again, that just seemed a little unequitable to me, so perhaps maybe take a look at that. I do understand that every resident has the option to call or email their commissioner prior to the meeting, and that, for most of you, is the preferred method. But some personal insight on that is sometimes folks, because the agenda doesn't come out often for many of us until late Wednesday night or Thursday for us to see it, a lot of the times we may not have time to get in touch with our commissioner or other elected officials before the meeting on Monday. So maybe, again, if you're looking to change the timeline, get the agenda out a little sooner so we've got more time to view it and get with our commissioners. I'm running out of time, so I'm going to jump down. What I would propose is if you're going to reduce commenting time, then perhaps consider proposing 3 minutes across the board, because this approach will then provide consistency with Robert's rules, as I did see that we are now going to look to enforce that, which will basically, sorry y'all, but will give you all each 3 minutes to speak twice per agenda item. So if you keep it to 3 minutes across the board, at least we all feel like it's a fair and equitable decision. Thank you all, appreciate it, have a good night.
Albert Bryan, please.
We're Brian Deltona. I'm going to look at this 2 different ways. One, if you vote for this in a way that gives this what it is right now, you're not taking power away from me. You're taking power away from yourselves. Never understood why anybody would vote to take power away from themselves. Never got that. Because as of now, y'all have free reign to be able to talk, chit-chat, back and forth, debate. And the way they use debate in this is kind of loosely, because the way this talks, there is no debate. He has 1 minute to talk, or 3 minutes to talk. One time. Did I get to come up here and talk? Then he has 3 more minutes. That's not a debate. That's a back and forth one time. That's not a debate. A debate is a continuous talk. Each one of y'all only got 6 minutes to talk about any single subject. Any single subject. Really? 6 minutes? I sat up here and watched previous commissioners talk for 30 minutes, and it was well done. I've also sat here and watched someone talk for 2 minutes, and it was very well done. Now, when we talk about these things, what's funny to me, when you look down, you get down towards the end, it talks about what you gabbled tonight. Somebody who is rude and obnoxious. You still have that power. So to limit other people from talking because of one person is childish to me, very childish. And then I have to ask, what are we trying to hide? I've been doing this 10 years straight, never missed a regular meeting in 10 years. And I've talked to almost every meeting. There's been a few meetings I didn't have to talk because this was done actually fairly well. But at the end of the day, all this does is make me wonder, what are we hiding? What are we running from? I'm an open book. I've always been an open book. When I address you as commissioners. When I point out one commissioner, I say commissioner. I don't spit out a name. There's no reason to. So what are we afraid of? This, to me, is a hindrance to the city. This isn't opening the city. This isn't say we welcome anybody, especially business. If I was a businessman and I saw this, I'd say I don't want to go to that city. They don't care about their citizens. And as a business person, I care about anybody that walks through my door. Whether it's a Great Dane or it's a human, it makes no difference to me. I'm going to treat them all the same. Because I have values. I have morals. And this tells me that y'all have none, that you're trying to hide something. Now, last thing that I want to talk about. When you talk about language and so forth and so on, correct yours before you correct mine. Before you talk about my body odor, correct yours before you correct mine. Who's going to judge about a body odor? Really? That's funny. To put that in here tells me that this was done by a 3-year-old, not a manager.
Courtney Cross Burgos, please.
Boy, Albert's a hard act to follow. Courtney Cross Burgos, Deltona. I was actually shocked to read the new proposed meeting guidelines. I'm familiar with Robert's Rules of Order, but Robert doesn't live here, so we need our own rules. This is Deltona, like Maritza said. I agree that some people have used profanity and made attacks on you for things that have nothing to do with city business. These instances should be addressed individually instead of trying to stifle all of us. And really, you're going to keep people from speaking due to body odor? I know it's been mentioned. But again, I'd like to know who's going to go around sniffing people to make that judgment. I mean, if you come near me to sniff me, you're going to be in trouble. It's just totally absurd. And, you know, Davison is very open with me, and he talks to me all the time. He's always telling me that email is the best way to address my concerns, but that doesn't seem to work for me. In November, I sent an email about this very subject and got little response and even less answers, and even a few flat-out lies. And I did miss Nick and Emma on that email. I honestly can't believe that you as a whole don't want to hear from us. We elected you to be our voice and represent us. How can you do that if you aren't interacting with us or listening to our concerns? We have a district commissioner, but the dais as a whole makes decisions affecting us all. So you all need to listen to all of the residents, not just your district, your constituents. I was recently told by someone up there that residents don't need to come to meetings to be heard. Really? That's horrible. Are you wanting to sit on the dais with no residents in attendance so that you can do whatever you want and we won't know about it until it's too late? You represent us. We ultimately foot the bill and pay the consequences for your decisions. You are part of our community. We rely on each other to survive here. We have every right to participate and be involved in the decisions that affect us. You are supposed to be stewards of our money and welfare, but it doesn't seem that way. I need to watch my pennies, and if that means watching what goes on here, I have every right to do so. I am bewildered as to why you don't think we have the right to attend and participate in meetings and question things. I'm also concerned on limiting your ability to speak. I want you to be able to ask as many questions as necessary to get clarity on an item. I'm sorry, I don't mean to yell. On an item, because I want you to understand fully what you're voting for. You ask, I answer. You ask, I answer. You can't ask again. That makes no sense to me whatsoever. I also need to know if, like Tara said, if our requests have to be in before the gavel for everything, or can we still do agenda items and it's only public forum that needs to be in before the gavel? And if it's going to be after the gavel, are we going to be back on record again? I've got more and I'm running out of time. All I'm going to say is please, please, I beg you, don't approve this. Maybe have a workshop or a committee, including residents, to come up with a compromise that we can all live with. Thank you.
Terry Ellis, please.
Hi, Terry Ellis. So the first thing I want to say is there's been some misrepresentation about my viewpoints about the changes that were made. So I want to clearly state that I do not agree with the changes that were made. What I said up here on the mic was, let's negotiate some solutions. Okay, full stop. So I want to make that public. Next item is, I had something that I wanted to say, but when I really started thinking about this draft that was presented, I can't even believe that it even made it to the agenda. Mainly because, as Albert said, it's removing power from the dais, and we're depending on you to ask the questions that we can't ask. So absolutely unbelievable. You know, most of the time, public comments, it's really, they're requests. Commissioner Santiago, 9 times out of 10, they are not inflammatory, they're not disrespectful. There are people who are standing up here making a request, giving reasons behind that request, a little bit of history, making some suggestions about what we can do better. So, you know, to say that what you're no longer going to tolerate, that's not the usual environment around here. You know, and I will say this, is that it has happened before, and what happens is when someone asks for help or action and you don't get answers, just like, you know, what happens in your families when you're trying to solve a problem and you want to talk to somebody and they're not answering you, you know, it results in frustration and anger and attitudes. Well, that's in relationships in your family and marriages and whatnot, but these are relationships too. These are the people that you go to church with and shop with and see in the grocery stores and see in events. We're your neighbors. So, you know, that's where communications goes off the rails sometimes, and, you know, sometimes we're a little bad at communicating. But, you know, communication is a two-way dialogue. It's not a one-way message. And listen, I know I can get a little wordy, but that's because I respect this dais. I respect these people. So when I'm up here at the mic, even though I hate public speaking, but I do it anyway. And when I'm up here at the mic, I use that format. I give you information. I specify the ask. I explain why it's important. I explain what the benefits are. This is communication. We have a lot of history in Deltona with this public comment situation, so I'm going to stop right there and I'm going to ask this. How about, because this is the third time in 2 years that we've had to talk about public comments? Thank you. How about if we even go a little bit further? We have a workshop and we bring the residents in and we do some kind of exercise to really work through this and get down to something that is respectable. We understand that you folks have to do business. We get that. Okay? So let's communicate, let's negotiate, and finally put this to bed. Thank you.
Kathy Bryan, please.
Very good.
Kathy Bryan, Deltona, I want to say thank you, first of all, for deciding to put this to a workshop, because I was getting concerned that I was going to have to come up and say, if you vote on this tonight, shame on you. And the reason I say that is because And forgive me, I had to write everything down so I wouldn't forget. If you pass this tonight, you're saying loud and clear that you don't want your residents, you don't want to hear from us. Well, that's part of your job. Having to fill, some of this is going to be repetitive, having to fill out a form prior to the meeting for all issues takes away the ability for people to speak. And as Terry Ellis talked to you again about communication in her previous speech in public forum, a lot of people can't do that. Can I email? Yes, and I have emailed before. I haven't emailed this commission yet on anything. But what I find is that I don't always get an answer, and what I really don't get is face-to-face, is to stand up here and talk. I can see your faces. I can see the disinterest. I can see the, oh yeah, maybe she's talking about something she knows. I don't get up here very often and cuss and fume. I may get a little passionate about things now and again, but that's up to you to control that. The dais, it's up to you to control that. If you don't like the bad behavior, then that's your job to stop it. Bad behavior goes both ways, because I've heard when people come up to speak, we have a commissioner who, still hot mic going, of course there is. I'm sorry, everybody has a right, and people, you have a lot of residents that have good information, good ideas, and that's one of the reasons why I like to see public forum online, and that's also the reason I don't like to see not being able to speak unless you've put something in beforehand, because there's a lot of times I don't know that I want to speak until I hear the discussion, until I hear that presentation, and then I say, oh, listen, maybe we need to think about this, just like the PFAS tonight. And so sometimes that information is of interest to others as well as it is to that person. Everything I read in that agenda item, it seems like, number one, not everybody on the dais got that information ahead enough time to review it well. That's not right. Number two, you signed up for your seat. It seemed like everything in that made it look like we want to keep the meetings to 2 hours. I get that. I get that. But you signed up for your seat. I guarantee it doesn't pay too much, but you're up there because we voted for you. Or enough people voted for you to get the majority vote, right? We voted for you because the people that voted for you thought because they're going to do a good job. But when you do this, it sends bad optics message. Also, too, I noticed some things missing. There was a lot of things missing, one of which was the evaluations for charter officers. I'm hoping to goodness that got put somewhere else, because I hope we're not going to not do evaluations or coaching plans or whatever you want to call them on our charter officers. Disruptions of public forum. When we have awards here and they're leaving, you say, oh, let's give them a few minutes to get out. Well, we're trying to speak. People are coming in, and not everybody's in their seat. So I think we really need to discuss this, and I think you need citizen input. Thank you.
Dana McCool, please.
Thank you, Madam. Those who need to control aren't usually respected, and those that are respected don't usually need to control. I agree with what the city manager is trying to do. And rather than presenting the illusion that we're okay by not putting bad behavior up, I wish that we would concentrate still on actually being okay. I think that it's rich, very rich, to talk about not tolerating bullying up to the dais. When for 4 years I sat up there, was called a whore, cheap streetwalker, a drunk, a child abuser. I didn't see any of you new people up here defending that then. Not until it became the opportunity for you to be under fire. That's not public serving, that's self-serving. And I am so incensed by that. Not a one of you. Not a one of you online came to defense. Maritza, street cheap walker, a cheap street walker, a whore.
I didn't see any of you coming up then talking about bad behavior. But because it might happen to you now, we're going to cut out public dialogue. Because you're going to make people behave by shutting their mouths. That's disingenuous, and I see it for what it is. And that's all I want to say about that. I understand and I appreciate what the city manager is trying to do. He was trying to do it while we were here in a very difficult time. We're getting ready to go through elections and didn't want to turn up the earth, and that's what needs to happen, is that the earth needs to be turned up. But shutting people up ain't going to do it. Being effective up in your seats that you were elected for is what's going to do it. Listening to people is what's going to do it. There are so many nights that I just wanted to get up out of that chair and leave because of what was being said to me. But you know what? People's rights to get up and speak was more important than me getting my feelings hurt. And I tell you what, if you are not prepared to get your feelings hurt, then you need to turn your chairs around and get out of those chairs. Because it's going to happen, I promise you. It's going to happen in public forum. It's going to happen here. It's going to happen on social media. So you better grow some thick skin or you're not fit for the job. Should it be tolerated? Absolutely not. This community needs a lot more respect than it's been getting on both sides of this dais. 3 minutes is plenty of time to say what you need to say. Now, I saw my friend Elbert turn around. I did like to opine when I was a commissioner, and I understand the need to limit this. We had some very long, contentious meetings, and it wasn't healthy for the city. But if we're going to be healthy, be healthy. Don't be a hypocrite. Don't be self-serving. Be public-serving. At least I can say that I tried to do that when I was sitting up there. So my advice to you all, listen to your public, because it never turns out well when you don't. Grow thick skin and find out what the problem is instead of trying to cover it up like a litter box. Thank you. Pat Blodgett, please.
Pat Blodgett, Deltona. I agree with what everybody is saying, and I don't know who's making these changes. Putting in a request to speak before the meeting is a joke, because how do we know what we're going to say? How do we know what we're going to ask until it happens? You take away the public forum from being taped, then you want to limit the time we talk, and now you want to limit our meeting time. You don't want our input. You just want our taxes and to be quiet. I think you have the wrong city, because our city does not be quiet. Body odor. Who decides this? We are a working class of citizens. We have to go to the meetings right after work. That's it. And who's going to be the judge of who smells? Another lawsuit waiting to happen. Discrimination. A lot of Deltona cleanup is on the individual, not the whole city, as you well know. To have a dictatorship, you first take away the Amendment 2, freedom to bear arms. Then you take away the First Amendment, freedom of speech. You are the commissioners and city manager. You are well on your way to a dictatorship. Is that what you want? Do you want to control us? We're not controlled, as you well know. We're not quiet.
Anna Loser, please.
I actually had something else that I wanted to talk about, but I spent all month of December trying to...
Ms. Loser, this is regarding the subject.
Yes, no, I am.
Go ahead.
And to compress everything that I had to say without breaking down in 4 minutes was very difficult, and it took me an entire month, and I still couldn't even find all the words. So I decided not to sing anything. But when I came here and found out that the public forum was going to be changed, I had to say something. After the hurricane, we had several different meetings that allowed the public on many different occasions to come. I work 24 hours, day and night jobs, and I know I'm not the only one that does this. But being able to make these meetings, I hadn't been able to for years. After the hurricane, I finally was able to make a couple of the meetings at the risk of my job. Now I'm coming to all of the meetings that I can to learn and understand how to do this properly. People are angry because when we voice our concerns initially at a soft-spoken, it's not heard, we get louder, it's not heard, we get louder, it's not heard, and some people, we reach to vulgarity. It's not right, I understand, but at a point of anger, it's because we don't feel that we're being listened to when we're quiet and trying to be professional. So we get louder, we get ruder, because then you start hearing us. And I've experienced that firsthand where I've asked nicely people, they don't listen, and I've had to be absolutely rude to a personality that's not me. But it made things happen. And I had to point out that if you want me to be nice, please listen to me. I'm not asking you to agree to my opinions, just hear me out. And so after the hurricane, when we had all of these meetings, I got to learn more information about what I can do, not only as a mother, as a citizen, as a neighbor, as a person in the city. And now that I have this information, I'm helping other people that I can. All these meetings helped out. Having a minimum time gives people who are trying to be constructive in the information that they want to bring out. We all have our differences of opinions. We all have our different jobs, our different viewpoints, and abilities that we can be able to be constructive in what we have to say. Minimizing that because of some people being rude, yes, I agree. We need to be professional in the way we address ourselves. Some of the points that I've heard of, like I said, I'm last minute on this one, I didn't intend on saying anything. Body odor, I've worked construction. I've stunk to high heaven and had a minute that I literally had no time to do anything but do what they call a whore's bath, tits and butt. That was the best that I could be able to do to make the meeting in the most professional that I could. Sometimes there are restrictions, and I do appreciate the opportunity that workshop for public to be able to talk about this, for us all to bring in our opinions and saying, this is how we can all try to make this work. I find that to be very beneficial, that did come up, and it wasn't just an automatic of, here's this information, because I just found out about this. And to just know that this is all the changes, and I didn't even have an opportunity to prepare myself, I feel kind of slighted as well. And I'm not a disrespectful person. I try to be as respectful and with little insults as possible. So I do appreciate putting in consideration to tabling this and actually letting public talk about this and find a better solution for everybody.
David Sosa, please.
Okay, wait a second. You got to give me a chance to adjust the mic. Thank you. All right. Some of this has already been done, requesting to speak before the gavel strikes the desk. People work. They're not going to make it here exactly 6 o'clock or 6:30 whenever you determine the first gavel hits the desk. So that's kind of ludicrous. Okay? Then you limit to 2 minutes. Why? The last meeting, I had a conversation with a commissioner. There was only like maybe 4 people speaking, so you had about 15, 20 minutes between the 6 to 6:30 mark. So you wasted 20 minutes. So you didn't get a return on your investment. By starting at 6, ending at 6:30, you wasted 20 minutes of staff time. You wasted 20 minutes of your time, their time. So you're not getting any benefit out of it. Limiting to 2 minutes. On most topics, most people don't even speak. Most people speak on what? Important topics. Flooding, taxes. And it takes more than 2 minutes to discuss flooding and taxes. Okay? And I think our millage rate was 7.6. I'm not sure if you were trying to do a total county or not, but our millage rate was 7.2, not 19. All right, let's read this. The Deltona City Commission shall continue embrace dissension. Yeah, we're going to embrace dissension. We're going to shut you up. We don't want to hear from you. That's embracing dissension. And Emma, you're right. This commission this year, I was expecting positive changes. This is not positive. This is a negative change. It's not positive. Positive change to me, lower taxes, better roads, better infrastructure. Those are positive changes. Trying to silence people is not a positive change. Okay, let's see. Booing, catcalling, applauding. So you ladies right over here who applauded earlier, you're out of here. Okay, that's what it comes down to. Booing, you raise my taxes, I'm gonna boo you. Okay, let's go. Speaking vulgarities, that's not my thing. I don't like to curse. Name calling, personal attacks, name calling, personal attacks. So if you're going to tout yourself as, I'm going to use the mayor since that's who I got to address, conservative, and you act more like a communist, I'm going to call you that. Okay? Now, excessive body odor. I'm going to tell you who's going to do it. Nobody's going to go sniffing you. That metal detector out there, we're going to change it with a smell detector. Okay? So, when we come to quasi-judicial, this is important. Albert touched on it. You guys are shooting yourself in the foot. Because quasi-judicial, that is when you change the role. I don't know if your attorneys have spoken to you what quasi-judicial is. It's not what you're doing right now. You're legislative right now. Quasi-judicial is when you can only take the facts presented to you from both parties and any facts that are brought at that time. So if you only have 6 minutes to discuss some major development and a TIA, traffic impact analysis, could take 10, 20 minutes in itself, what have you just done? You're either pushing through things that shouldn't be pushed through, or you're negligently pushing them through, or you're doing backroom deals. That will be the perception of the public. Now, if you read this first part here too, it said these rules are subordinate to the city charter, the code of ordinance, the laws of the state of Florida,
Have a good night.
and the United States of Florida.
Thank you.
I still got 5 seconds. So that means the Florida State Constitution, the United States Constitution supersedes this nonsense.
Have a good day, Mr. Sosa.
That ends public comment.
Do you have any city attorney comments? Sorry. We're voting to, on the motion on the floor, which is to table the workshop. Motion passes 6-1. All right. Is there any city attorney comments?
We just want to say Happy New Year. Thank you all.
This is exactly what we're trying to finish this budget. So can you say that again?
Mayor, we just wanted to say Happy New Year to you all. Thank you so much.
Any city manager comments?
I just want to bring to everyone's attention, cold weather coming. For those that haven't seen, we'll be in the low 30s next few days. Check on neighbors, friends, and family members. That's it, Mayor. Thank you.
Okay. I'll go down the line. Commissioner Emma Santiago of District 2. Any
comments.
commission comments, requests, or reports?
No comments. Thank you.
Commissioner Avila Vasquez.
I have a request. I don't know, I tend to forget how we're doing this now. Do I make this request now, or do I put it in writing? It's a request from Deltona High School asking the city to assist them with their end-of-the-year banquet. They would like to come and request some help from us. There been changes in their team, and they don't have all the funds to hold their banquet. So I would like to come up with an idea to see how we can help our children in their football team. So I just need a consensus, I guess, to get it on the agenda for next week for discussion.
Okay. Can you do a quick roll call, Sarah? Simple verbal vote.
Commissioner Villasquez?
Of course.
Commissioner Colwell?
Yes.
Commissioner Howington?
Yes.
Commissioner Lilly?
Yes.
Commissioner Santiago?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Harriet?
Yes.
Mayor Vila?
Yes.
Thank you. In the comments, I just want to give a shout out to the Hispanic Chamber, Parks and Recs, our fire department, and our sheriff's department for putting on such a great Three Kings / Epiphany event on Saturday. It was packed. It was full. We had so much fun. And I can tell you, Deltona is unique. Three Kings usually come in camels. Our Three Kings came in motorcycles. So, hopefully it can be a repeat. And of course, the city of Deltona, thank you on behalf of them for helping sponsor this event. And Happy New Year to everyone. Blessed, happiness, and a lot of blessings. Thank you.
Commissioner Dory Howington. Sorry, all these initials are very similar.
In December, I attended my first Team Volusia meeting, and that was where we adopted the budget for the year. I did take the moment to discuss the meeting where Keith came to speak to everybody and let him know that we are very concerned about the lack of support that we've had with bringing into commercial development here. And I've asked for them to partner with us and to work with John Cox to help drive that initiative forward. So they are aware that we are concerned and that that would be something we would be looking at the next budget cycle if we don't start seeing some progress. So they've committed to helping us, and they're also willing to come in and give presentations anytime. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Stephen Colwell.
Yeah, I have some questions on the project going on behind the post office, the Toledo Place. Do we know where we're at as far as fines?
Commissioner, we'll have to get back to you with a detailed report where we are.
Have we exceeded the 90 days?
At the 90? No, exactly. We'll get that back also. He's taking a look at when the paperwork was sent out.
Well, if we have exceeded the 90 days, I would like to get a consensus to move forward with a letter of intent.
So I believe we gave consensus last time, so if once you provide that information to all the commissioners on the dais, then you had the direction from the last time about proceeding.
Yes, Commissioner, I definitely know you're passionate about that issue, so we will not be holding off on letter of intent to move forward.
Okay.
There's no doubt.
I spoke to you earlier about the intersection of Howland and Newmark and the serious accidents that have been going on for the past year. We had another one today. What do we need to do to get this resolved or get a?
I understand Public Works forward that to the county. The county makes the decisions with their process.
Is there any way we can prod them anyway?
Well, after today's another accident there, I assume that would be a valid prodding. Yes.
All right. That's half.
Commissioner Niglelli.
Thank you, Mayor. Thanks for everyone coming out tonight. Had some great meetings over the past couple weeks, holiday season, with different folks. Folks who, may have said are friends in the past. Some may have been foes. Some may have called me names. And that's the great thing about life, is that forgiveness and all that good stuff. So I've actually really enjoyed some of these meetings I've had with a whole wide array of folks, both within my district and outside. And so I appreciate their time. Just a couple things I was wondering if we could get updates on, like maybe in the next 60 to 90 days, if we could get an update about Lakeshore. That continues to be a topic that I hear about from folks, and that I know I'm interested in, and I think we've heard from the commission before. So if we could just get an update on that, and maybe regular updates on the status of restoring that.
Commissioner Lilly, I don't mean to interrupt you, and I'll give you back your time. Could you shorten that time? Because we've asked for updates on that multiple times. I think we need an update within the next 14 days.
Okay.
If you're okay with that, I mean, or at a minimum by the next meeting, because we've had to an exhaust. This commission, the prior commission, it's been to a length, so.
We can have an overview at the next meeting.
Next meeting.
That's okay with you.
Yep, that would be fine with me. Thank you. I heard a comment about something I said in regards to yard waste. I got to go back and look at it just so I can understand the context, but I did not intend to be, I think the word that was used was snide, and I apologize if that's how I came off, and I'll go back and look and figure out the context. I believe that was about hurricane debris removal, but I'll go back and look. I just don't remember offhand. And then I think also in the next, I want to say 6 months, just because I know staff is changing and whatnot. I've seen good promotions on like LinkedIn for some of our staff, so I don't know if the team is full right now, but maybe the next 6 months, if we could get a workshop maybe on communication, maybe identifying what our PIO office does, what tools they use. That's something I do professionally, so I'd just like to see if we could just get an update on that. I know we've heard from some folks tonight about that as well. That's it. Thanks.
Vice Mayor Davison Harriet.
I've got no comments for tonight.
Made it very easy. Okay. Well, I have no comments. I hope everyone has a great night. Meeting's adjourned.